Hello and welcome. I'm Kriti Mehta and you're watching the World Report on NewsX World. Let's start with a check of the top headlines this hour. US President Donald Trump says India will buy Venezuelan oil as opposed to purchasing oil from Iran. He said, "We've already made the deal, the concept of the deal." Days after threatening tariffs on any country supplying Cuba with oil, Trump says he believed the US would work a deal with Cuba. US President Donald Trump has posted on Truth Social that he has ordered the Department of Homeland Security to under no circumstances get involved with protests in democratic-led cities unless they ask for federal help or federal property is threatened. Protests have broken out against US President Donald Trump across the United States, with protesters denouncing Trump and ICE from San Francisco to Minneapolis. President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that Ukraine was waiting for more information from the United States about further peace talks and expected new meetings to take place next week. The Iranian army's commander-in-chief Amir Hatami said that the armed forces were ready to defend the Islamic Republic until the end amid aggressive posturing by the United States and allies. Indian Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presents her 9th Union Budget in the lower house of Indian Parliament. Stock markets open on Sunday due to the budget session for the first time in history. South Korea signs contract with Norway to supply the Chunmoo multiple launch rocket system valued at $896.4 million, South Korean presidential chief staff said after meeting Norwegian defense minister. All right, now on to the top focus. Iran has labeled the armies of European countries as terrorist groups following the European Union's decision to designate Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organization. Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, the Speaker of Iran's parliament, made the announcement stating that under Article 7 of the Law on Countermeasures against the declaration of the IRGC as a terrorist organization, European armies would now be considered terrorist groups. Ghalibaf made the declaration while dressed in an IRGC uniform, showing solidarity with the Guards. The impact of Iran's decision remains unclear as the country has not specified immediate actions in response to the European Union's move. Professor Rohan Gunratna, International Affairs expert, joins me in this discussion from Singapore. Professor, thanks very much for joining us. All right. Well, firstly, what is really going to be the impact of this retaliatory move by Iran?
We have seen in the last 24 hours a very decisive movement on the part of Iran, that is the Iranian parliament, in retaliation to the EU designation of IRGC as a terrorist entity. The Iranian parliament has now designated the European armies as terrorist groups. Of course, it is an unprecedented move, but it is done in retaliation to European measures. The second is those who are in parliament in Iran, they all wore the uniforms of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps is an intelligence service of Iran, and this group, together with another entity called the Quds Force, which is also a constituent of IRGC, they have mounted terrorist attacks globally, including in Europe. And also, this entity is responsible for suppressing the protests and using violence against the protesters. And that's why the Europeans designated them. Of course, now Iran has retaliated by designating the European armies as a terrorist entity. So this is the most significant development in the last 24 hours in Iran and also in Europe.
Is the United States going to respond to this?
United States has already designated, Canada has already designated IRGC as a terrorist group. So what we are seeing is that many of the Western countries will work together to take action against IRGC. But at the same time, IRGC itself will be very hostile towards the Europeans from this point onwards. For example, the ships that are moving in from Europe in the Iranian waters, they will take action. And also the cargo that is moving from Iran to Europe, there will be certain actions that is taken. So this is the new world order because geopolitically there are very significant changes. We are seeing that Russia and China are supporting Iran. And of course, the Americans and the Europeans will once again, although they have some disagreements under Trump, they will work together to respond to Iran that is continuing with its missile and fissile program, meaning to restore its nuclear capabilities after the US-Israel war with Iran. So tensions are on the rise. All this is going to disrupt the global supply chain, meaning global shipping and global movement of trade and goods in the coming days, coming weeks, and coming years.
All right. Professor Gunratna, how do you think the European Union is going to view this challenge, and what how do you think they are going to act in response?
European Union, in addition to designating IRGC, has also proscribed or designated a number of Iranian entities that especially manufactured or transported drones to Russia to fight in Ukraine. So Europe will take action against those companies and those individuals. Other than that, the European Union has also designated or listed very prominent individuals in Iran, including the prosecutor general who threatened to give a death penalty to the protesters, also to the IRGC leaders, and many others who were responsible for in fact, suppressing the protesters. So we will see this kind of below the war tit for tat measures taken by both Iran and Europe, and of course the US and other European countries against Iran.
All right, Professor. Thank you very much for your response and for joining us. And we now move on, viewers. Now, US President Donald Trump has said the newly released Justice Department files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein cleared him of any wrongdoing. Speaking to reporters on Air Force One, Trump claimed the files showed the opposite of what people were hoping for. He also discussed considering legal action against author Michael Wolff and Epstein's estate. Wolff has said he spoke with Epstein in 2017 about Epstein's relationship with Trump. The president has denied several claims about him that the late disgraced financier made during those interviews. Let's listen into Trump's statement.
Well, they should be, because it looked like this guy Wolff was a writer, was conspiring with Epstein to do harm to me. And I didn't see it myself, but I was told by some very important people that not only does it absolve me, it's the opposite of what people were hoping, you know, the radical left. That Wolff was a third-rate writer, was conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein to hurt me, politically or otherwise, and that came through loud and clear. So we'll probably sue Wolff on that. And maybe the Epstein estate, I guess, I don't know, but we're going to certainly sue Wolff.
You want to sue the Epstein estate?
Well, you may, I guess so, because he was conspiring with Wolff to do harm to me politically. That's not a friend.
All right, viewers, Trump's latest remarks would trigger some alarm bells across the global quarters. In his latest comments, Trump has in fact gone on to say that the latest batch of Epstein files that have been released are actually clearing him of any wrongdoing, and he made that statement on board Air Force One as he was traveling. He also discussed considering legal action against author Michael Wolff, who had said that he spoke with Epstein in 2017 about his relationship with Trump. But Trump, of course, has denied several of this claim, and on the statements that had been made by Epstein during his interviews. In fact, in the latest batch of files, Trump has been accused of hiding something. The US Justice Department, viewers, has released 3 million pages, 2,000 videos, 180,000 images from the Jeffrey Epstein case. And officials have said that the release is actually following the new Epstein Files Transparency Act. And we now move on. Now, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has called for Andrew Mountbatten Windsor to testify in the United States about his ties to disgraced financier Epstein. Mountbatten Windsor, stripped of his royal titles last year, is featured in newly released Epstein files, which details his interactions with Epstein and include disturbing images and emails. The file suggests that Mountbatten Windsor maintained close ties with Epstein long after the financier's 2008 conviction for soliciting minors. New emails indicate he invited Epstein to Buckingham Palace in 2010, 2 years after Epstein's conviction, and appeared in social settings with him. Additionally, photographs released show Mountbatten Windsor in compromising position with an unidentified woman. Keir Starmer emphasized that anyone with relevant information should be prepared to testify. The latest files also reveal correspondence between Mountbatten Windsor and Ghislaine Maxwell, as well as intimate family photos he shared with Epstein. Mountbatten Windsor has denied any wrongdoing, and his legal team has yet to comment on the latest developments. And moving on now to sports news. Now, Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic will clash in the Australian Open final, a showdown between the most dominant player of the current generation and the legend whom many consider the greatest men's player of all time. Both athletes arrive after semi-finals that tested their limits. Alcaraz fought through cramps and edged past Alexander Zverev in a 5-set thriller, demonstrating the mental and physical resilience that has become his trademark. Djokovic, on the other hand, dominated top seed Jannik Sinner with a clinical baseline performance, reminding fans why he remains one of the most feared competitors in the game. The stakes could not be higher. Djokovic is seeking to break the all-time Grand Slam record, adding another chapter to his legendary career. Alcaraz, who's just 22-year-old, has the chance to complete a career Grand Slam, becoming the youngest man in history to achieve that milestone. This final isn't just about who takes home the trophy, it's about legacy, history, and a defining moment in men's tennis. Fans around the world will be watching as two generations collide in Melbourne's Rod Laver Arena. Let's listen in to what both of the players had said after their respective semi-final matches.
History is on the line for both of us every time we play. I mean, the finals of Grand Slam, you know, there's a lot at stake, but it's no different from, you know, any other, big match that I play. My preparation is as it should be, and I won against him last year here. Also in a grueling match. So let's see how fresh are we both able to be.
One of the most or more demanding matches that I have ever played in my career so far. I think physically we just push each other to the limit today. We push our bodies to the limit, which I think the level of the fifth set was really, really high. So I'm just really happy to get the win. That I came back, and I just ranked this one in a top position of one of the best matches that I have ever won.
And now moving on, Costa Rica is heading into elections with right-wing populist Laura Fernandez holding a commanding lead according to recent polls. The 39-year-old political scientist and former presidential chief of staff has captured voter support in the wake of a surge in drug trafficking and violence that has tarnished the country's image as a peaceful tourist haven. Fernandez, who has vowed to continue the tough security policies of current President Rodrigo Chavez, has become the frontrunner. The election is widely seen as a referendum of Chavez's leadership, particularly his hardline approach to crime, which has resonated with many Costa Ricans. However, this approach comes amid rising concerns over corruption, which Chavez currently is under investigation for. Once a peaceful haven amid regional turmoil, Costa Rica, with a population of 5.2 million, has witnessed a rise in murders and gang violence in the recent years, fueled in part by the country becoming a key destination for global cocaine trafficking. Listen in to what a few residents of San Jose are saying.
Esto es muy importante que la gente vaya a votar, que ejerza sus derechos, que de eso se trata. Cada cual votará por su partido, votará por lo que quiera, pero lo importante es que la gente vaya a votar, y nos complace decir que por el momento todo lo que hemos averiguado, todas las voces que hemos escuchado nos dicen que están dadas las condiciones para que una vez más, como tantas veces ha ocurrido, como invariablemente ha ocurrido desde 1962 hasta ahora, los ciudadanos de Costa Rica voten.
Y si la gente va a votar, hay más democracia. La gente escogió al partido, al que quiera elegir. Ahora, los porcentajes y esa vara, yo nunca he estado de acuerdo. El que ganó, ganó, pero ya aquí, si no llega a tantos porcentajes, hay que volver a gastar plata y más plata.
Now moving on, thousands of Thai voters have participated in early voting ahead of the general election scheduled for February 8. The early vote marks a significant step toward choosing the next government after a period of political instability. Prime Minister Anutun Charnavirakul called the snap election on December 12, less than 100 days into his term, following a tumultuous parliamentary session that threatened his fragile minority government with a potential no-confidence vote. The election has emerged as a three-way race, with Anutin's conservative Bhumjat Thai Party competing against the former ruling Pheu Thai Party and the Reformist People's Party. Many voters expressed hope for significant changes in government aiming to steer the country toward a better future. Listen in.
ความคาดหวังก็คืออยากได้ผู้นำที่สามารถพัฒนาในส่วนของชุมชนได้จริงๆนำไปสู่สังคมที่มันสามารถพัฒนาได้ไม่ใช่แค่ว่ามีแค่ policy หรือว่านโยบายที่ใช้ในการพูดเพื่อจะทำให้ตัวเองชนะเฉยๆอยากให้คำพูดกับการกระทำสามารถเป็นไปในทิศทางเดียวกัน
มาเลือกตั้งครั้งนี้ค่ะแล้วก็คาดหวังแบบอยากให้ประเทศดีขึ้นในทางที่แบบในทางที่ดีขึ้นนะคะก็ไม่ได้แบบคาดหวังอะไรมากมายคือว่าแต่ละพรรคนโยบายก็ไม่เหมือนกันอยู่แล้วเนี่ยค่ะ
Now moving on, thousands of protesters, both Arabs and Jews, have taken to the streets of Tel Aviv, demanding action over a sharp rise in violent crime in Israel's Arab community. Demonstrators accuse the government and police of years of neglect, saying failures in law enforcement have allowed criminal gangs to operate with impunity. Families of victims joined the march, holding photos of loved ones killed in recent years. Since the start of 2026, 27 Israeli Arab citizens have been killed. Arab leaders say between 230 and 250 homicides were recorded each year in Arab communities between 2023 and 2025. Lawmakers warn that without urgent action, the bloodshed will continue.
Today, the people gathering here is one of the biggest demonstrations that were organized by the Arab community in Israel and left political parties from the Jewish Israeli side as well, saying no to crime, no to organized crime, stating that the people are here in pain and they need help, and that the government has been neglecting this case of crime and bloodshed in the Arab community for the last 20 years. We ask the government to act on what's happening on our streets and to keep us.
We are here to protest against the crime in the Arab society in Israel, against this government that it came as and bring us to this situation in the Arab society. We are here to have our loud voice against this government and to bring our voice as Arabs and Jews.
Tens of thousands of both Arabs and Jews are demonstrating here in Tel Aviv in order to demand personal security because of the increasing murders in our Arab community led by gangs. These gangs are acting almost freely without any combat of the police against these gangs.
And we bring some tech news now. A U.S. federal judge has signaled that she may dismiss a lawsuit filed by Elon Musk's AI startup XAI against a rival OpenAI. XAI accused OpenAI of stealing trade secrets made by poaching employees to gain an unfair advantage in developing technology. However, U.S. District Judge Rita Lynn said she tentatively agrees with OpenAI's motion to dismiss, stating that XAI did not plausibly allege theft of trade secrets. The hearing on February 3 will decide whether XAI can amend its claims. This lawsuit is part of a larger legal battle between Musk and OpenAI, with Musk seeking $134.5 billion in damages. And viewers, we wrap up this bulletin with that. Keep watching NewsX World for all international news and updates.